Hi, this is Alimayo Arango of littleguycgi.com, and today I want to show you how to make armor for a human type character inside of Blender 2.72b. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Okay, what you see here is a character from another tutorial that I made. I'll put a link up here so you can get to that. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a full set of armor for this character. And one of the nice things about going through this is because we're making this armor for this character here, the armor basically follows the form of the character. So we're going to be doing a lot of duplicating and copying and then of this mesh right here, pieces of it, and then modifying that and actually turning that into the armor. Okay, there's two main modes that you deal with as you work in Blender. That's object mode, of which you can see here, and also edit mode. Object mode allows you to grab one object and move it around. When you click here and go into edit mode, you're actually able to move the different parts of an object around. Parts are generally made up of vertices, edges, and faces. And right here with these three buttons, you can select vertices, edges, and faces. Okay, the first piece of armor that we're going to make is armor protecting the chest area. So what we're going to do is roll our mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to hold shift and the mouse button to pan down just so we can get an easier view of what we're looking at. You want to have face select on. You're then going to hit C. And C allows you to paint faces, which you can see right here. So we're going to paint these faces here. Kind of like almost like a t-shirt pattern. We're dodging the neck here. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to hold my middle mouse button to turn to the side. And now what we're going to do is just hit C again to go back into paint select and start painting these faces here. And because that hair is it getting in the way? It's not too bad. Okay. So what's going on here is we have these faces selected. And the reason why we selected these faces is like before, this is the actual body. So because armor follows the form of the body, what we're going to do is we're going to hit Shift D. And then we're just going to left click to lock that in. And what happened when we hit Shift D was Shift D duplicates what you have selected. So we're in face select. We just duplicated the different faces that we had selected. So even though it looks like this is still lit up, this is now what you're actually looking at is a separate part or separate faces that are separate from the original faces we selected. So what we're going to do now is we're going to press Alt S, which is a special kind of scale inside of Blender. So I'm going to hold Alt and then hit S. Then I'm just going to pull down a little bit. And what Alt S does is it kind of makes things get thicker instead of just scaling them up. And actually I see this right here, which I don't want. There's a mirror modifier on here. And that's what, when I scaled it up a little bit too much, it joined right there. Having the mirror modifier on just makes you able to do effectively half the amount of work. And if you're new to Blender and you're like mirror modifier, just popped in there to see what's going on. Basically, if I click right here, this is our mirror modifier that's applied here. These are the options for it. And if I click this I, it'll actually take away the mirror modifier. And what the mirror modifier does is the mirror modifier basically duplicates the other half of a character. It's very useful for when you're dealing with symmetrical forms like the human body. However, when you work with the mirror modifier, you've got to be careful about if you scale things. Like when I scale this too much, basically this option here tries to join this side with this side. I don't want to confuse you, but I just want to give you a basic understanding if you are absolutely new to Blender, you know what's going on with the mirror modifier. If you see things like what happened for a second in the future as we go throughout this tutorial. Anyway, now that we have this this scaled up a little bit, Uh, and one of the things we can actually do as far as like with these being too close, we can actually pull just slightly to the side. Because this is armor, we don't want it being, skin tight. We want it to be a little bit out from the skin. So what we're going to do now that we have this geometry duplicated is we're going to press the P key. And what this does is this brings up your separate menu. So we can choose by these different objects as far as, what to separate. We're going to choose by selection. So when I click that, what happened is this selected area became its own object. So when we go back into object mode, we'll click here and go back into object mode. This is what we originally started off with. Now here, right here is the chest armor piece that we just set up. So if I click this eye, you'll see it disappear. So what we're going to do now is just double click here and we'll rename this chest armor. And now basically what is going on is this body right here is its own object. This now is its own object. So with this, we can click here and go into edit mode. Now we can click here and go into edit mode on this newly separate object. Okay, so what we're about to do is we're about to do some minor editing to this chest piece of armor right here. So what we're going to do is select on the body here, and sometimes it's beneficial to do this. We're going to select right here. We're going to scroll down. We're going to change this from textured view. We're going to click, let me move this out of the way so you can see, and go to wired view. And we're just doing this temporarily so we can still have the body, be underneath, so we can adjust this in accordance with the body, but so that the body doesn't get in our way. So now we'll just select on this armor piece right here, click here and go into edit mode. Okay, so here in edit mode, what we're going to do is we're going to go to edge select, we're going to hold Alt, and we're going to select this edge right here. By holding Alt, it allows us to select that entire edge loop there. So I'm going to hit S to scale to pull this out. And when you're pulling this out, you got to be careful. We have this mirror modifier on here, and the mirror modifier tries to keep this side from splitting apart from this side. So you got to be careful when vertices start getting close here. So we're just going to pull here just to make sure that our vertices don't bunch up there. And we just want this enough so that the next piece of armor that's going to cover the midsection area can look like it's going under this. I'm going to hit Alt S, just pull just slightly to make that a little bit wider. And as we work our way through here, most likely we'll get our basic armor down, and then we'll come back and add detail later on. Okay, so we're going to click here. We're going to go into object mode. I'm going to select back on the body with this button still selected. We're going to click here and turn this back to textured. And now we're going to go back into the main body. We're going to click edit, and we're going to grab our next piece of armor. Okay, before we grab anything, what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button and turn to the back of this character. Because I have the mirror modifier on it, if you're using the character, if you model this character with me, or if you're using a similar character and you have vertices this close, they're probably going to cause problems. So I'm going to hit Control Z. I just grabbed it and tried to move it away, and it tried to jump. So I'm going to click here. With this here is my modifier path menu, and I'm going to turn off this clipping. Clipping is what allows clipping basically keeps one part of a mirror object from pulling away from another object. It also sometimes causes issues. I'm going to temporarily turn this off, pull out to the side just a little, just so hopefully that's enough. So anyway, we're going to hold the middle mouse button and turn back this way, and now we're going to go to face select. We're going to hit A to make sure nothing is selected still in the back part of the model. We're going to hit A again. Now we're going to go to C for paint select, and we're going to select all right here. And we just want enough geometry so that this piece of armor is going to look like it's going up underneath that piece of armor. So when I right click to get out of paint select, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the back. I'm going to hit C to bring back paint select, and I'm just going to paint here again. I right click to get out. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn back to the front. Okay, and to make sure we don't have too many faces selected, since it's actually hard to see there, I'm just going to click Object. I'm going to select here. I'm going to click this button right here. And just like we did before, I'm going to go down and change this to wire. I'll select back on here, go back into edit mode, and we can see we're a little bit too high. So I'm going to press C for paint select. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just to unselect that selection right there. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, just turn to the back. I'm going to take the manipulator and just pull just slightly just to make sure there's enough distance from this side of vertices from this side. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn back to the front. I'm going to press Alt S and then just pull down slightly just to increase the width or girth of this this piece right here. And now I'm going to press P to bring up the separate menu. Choose selection. Now we'll click here to go into object mode. And then we can see here's this new piece of armor right here. We can just, if you ever, this is what I do if I'm not sure that an object is what I think it is. I just click this eye here, which shows the visibility, and you click it and it makes it non-visible so you know for sure what you're dealing with. So we're going to click here. We'll name this Midsection Armor. Okay, now we'll select our chest armor and we'll just turn this back to textured. Yeah, and that looks pretty much how I like it to look. Like I said, we're getting the basics down and we'll go back and add detail later on. Okay, so now we're going to do is select it back here, click edit to go back into edit mode, and grab our next piece that we're going to turn into armor. Where piece is depending on how you look at it, but anyway, with the face select on, we're going to hit C, and we're going to select all of this area right here. Actually, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I don't want this part here. I'm going to right click to get out of there. I'm going to hit C for paint select again. Rolling the mouse wheel, make sure area of influence go up and down. I can't remember if I had said that before. Pull this down. Trying to see how much coverage we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold shift, deselect right here. Then I'm going to hit C for paint select, and I'm going to select right here. We want that whole part of the leg, like front, halfway to the middle and the back, and halfway to the middle and the front. This looks kind of weird, so I think I'm going to hold shift and then select here, and that just deselects. Okay, and just like before, we're going to press Shift D to duplicate, left click to lock in. We're then going to press Alt S, pull down some to increase the width. And now we're going to press P to bring up our separate menu, choose selection. We're going to go back to object mode just like we did before. And here is that new selection right here. So we're going to rename this leg armor. Okay, so now with the leg armor selected, we're going to click here, go back into edit mode. And what I want to do is I want to grab the edges here. I'm going to hold shift and select this edge. Let me zoom in so you can see it better. I'm going to pull up here, then out some here. I think I'll pull back some. And I'm just, some of the fun parts about designing this stuff is you can kind of think like, okay, it's armor. It's supposed to be protecting her. So how would we want, if somebody was swinging a sword or something, how would we want her to be, able to defend herself? So a brain. Okay. Okay, so now that we have that, actually, let's go to vertice select. Pull this way a little bit. Most of 3D modeling is pushing and pulling vertices. Okay, what we want is we want this armor to be segmented, kind of going down to a piece, kind of going into another piece. So the way we're going to do that is we are going to rip the pieces that we need. As strange as that sounds, let me hit Control R. I'm just going to add in a. Can I add in a loop cut here? Yeah, loop cut there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Edge Select. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to select right here. I'm going to hit the V key, which rips things. And all rip means is we're still in the object that is the leg armor, but this piece here is now separated from this piece because I selected this edge right here and hit V. So now what we're going to do is with Edge Select still on, we're going to hold Alt. Select here to grab the bottom part of that rip. We're just going to take our manipulator and basically make it so that it is going over this part. And sometimes if you're doing that, you might need more of a bend. So what we're going to do is press Control R, put another loop cut here, and we'll just pull out just slightly. I just don't want the polygons intersecting. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Edge Select. We're going to go right to here. We're going to hold Alt, and with the Edge Select on, we're going to select here, select that whole edge loop. We're going to press V to rip. I'm going to left click to lock in. And then we're going to hold Alt and select right here. And we're just going to pull out and push down some just like before, just to have this overlapping the other piece of armor. We're going to put a loop cut by pressing Control R right here. Left click to lock in. Then I'm going to hold Alt and here and just pull this out to the side again so the polygons aren't intersecting. We're going to get the vertice select. So I can grab this polygon, this vertice anyway. Just making it so they don't, intersect, which causes problems. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to edge select here. We're going to hold Alt. We're going to select this edge right here. We're going to press V to rip. Left click to lock in. We're still with the edge select on. We're going to hold Alt. Select here. Holding Alt. And we're just going to push out to the side. Push down a little bit. And now that looks pretty good even without the edge loop in there. But, we'll do it. So we'll hit Control R. Left click right there. And then just take our manipulator and pull out to the side a little bit like before. I actually think this piece right here might get in the way of the knee armor that we're going to make eventually. So I'm going to hit Control L and I'm actually going to push this up some. Yeah, that looks like it'll work. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click here, go back into object mode. We're still selected on here, so we're going to click here. Whoops, what's going on here? That up. We're going to click here, turn this to wired mode. We're going to select back on the main body. We're going to click here to go to edit mode. And what we want from here is we want to have basically belts to attach this armor onto the leg. So we're going to use the geometry just like we did before. So what we're going to do is we're going to press we're going to face select. We're going to hold Alt and we're going to select right here, and We're going to press Shift D, left click to lock in, Alt S, pull down a little bit like that. Then what we're going to do is hold Alt again, select right here, hit Shift D to duplicate the faces. That's what we did here. We duplicated the geometry. We're doing the same thing here. Now we're pressing Alt S just to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and now with that done, I don't want it too much bigger. That should be good. We're going to hold Shift. We're going to, whenever you have a piece of an object, or usually when you have a piece of an object, if you hit Control L, you'll be able to grab that entire piece of the object. So I selected one face here, then I press Control L. Okay, now with these pieces selected, I'm actually going to hit Alt S and make these shrink. Just try to make them I was trying to make them shrink without having them intersect. That's fine. We're going to press P to go bring up our separation menu. We're going to choose by selection. And now with that done, now these are their own armor pieces here. We're going to go into object mode. And here in object mode, we can see if we select here, they disappear. We're not going to name these because we're actually going to join these to these pieces right here. So we're going to make sure we're selected on here. We're going to click edit mode over here. We're going to press Control R to put a loop cut right there. We'll put 3 loop cuts in. I'm going to left click to lock in because it's mirrored. That's why you see it going to both sides. I'm going to press Control R, put a loop cut in, roll the mouse wheel once, then twice, get 3 loop cuts. And now with that done, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Face Select. We're going to hold Alt, select here. I'm going to hold Shift and select Alt again, select here. Now I'm going to hit X and then delete faces. I'm going to hold Alt, let's see, Alt here. I'm going to press, I held Alt just to grab that whole loop of faces. I'm going to press X, delete faces. And now I'm going to press Alt here, or hold Alt, select there, hit X to bring up delete menu, choose faces to delete. And what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to press Alt, select all these faces here. I'm going to hit Shift D. I'm actually going to pull these up by 1. I think this, I'll push it in like this. Hit S to scale. Push it over just a little bit. I'm thinking I'm going to select here. I'm going to press Control L to grab that entire loop cut. I'm going to push this actually over some. I'm going to hit S to scale some. That looks pretty good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click here, go back into object mode. I'm going to select here, change this back from wired to textured. And then what I'm going to do is we're still in object mode here. So we're going to select here, then we're going to hold Shift and select here. And then we're going to press Control J. And what that did now is now these became a part of the leg armor. I joined them. So you hit Control J in object mode to join 2 objects. So first you select the object, and then lastly you select the object that you want the objects to be joined into. You know, that's why this is called legged armor, and that's why we didn't name the other armor. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to click here and go into edit mode, and now we see both of these are in because they're all the leg armor now. Okay, and we can see we have a little issue right here, so we'll press A to deselect that. We'll go to edge select. We'll select this edge right here, push that in a little bit. Looks like there's a little something right here. We'll grab that, push that in. We'll come back and deal with you know, more details later on. Okay, so now what we're going to do is click here to go into object mode. We're going to click on our main body. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. We're going to click here to go into the edit mode of the main body. We're going to go to face select. I'm going to press C, and I'm going to select all of these faces right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to press C for paint select yet again. Select all that right there. I'm going to hold C and just paint all this here. Make sure we have everything selected that we want to be selected. I think we're going to press C, hold the middle mouse button here to deselect for the back of the leg there. Okay, now we're going to press Shift D to duplicate the geometry. We're then going to press Alt S just slightly to make it slightly bigger. Whoops, not too much. Okay, then I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press C for paint select. I'm going to select all of this right here. And I'm going to press Alt S here. So I want that to be bigger, but I didn't want this to get to the point of being so big it looked utterly just not right. So I'm going to go to this edge select here. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to select this one edge right here. I'm going to hit S to scale and scale this down just a little. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click here. We're going to hold Alt and select this top. Whoops, hold Alt right here. We'll push forward just slightly and we'll pull this up. Then we'll hit S to scale. Make this bigger. We're going to grab this one edge right here. We're going to take this up like this. We're going to S to scale on the X axis. Like that. Push this out some like this. We're going to press Control R to put a loop cut in right here. Left click to lock in. We're going to grab the front part of this loop cut, these three edges right here, and push these out some. Okay, now what we're going to do with this edge still selected, we're going to press Control L. Remember, Control L, as long as the part is even inside of an object, as long as it's quote unquote separated from the other objects, because we duplicated this and made this its own faces. We hit Control L, it selects the entire leg part. We're now going to press P to bring up our separation menu. We're going to choose by selection. And I think we're going to name this. So let's see, we'll click the eye just to make sure we know what's going on there. We'll click here and we'll name this boot armor. Okay, now we'll select back on the main body. We'll click here to go back in that edit mode. We're going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan down. And we're going to press, we're going to go to face select first, then we're going to hit C. And we're going to select this right here. I think we're just going to, yeah, we'll select that part. I'm going to right click to get out of the paint select. I press C for paint select again. I'm going to hold shift and select right here. And what we're going to do is press Shift D, just like we did before. We're going to hold Alt S, slightly pull. We're going to press Alt S and make it a little bit bigger. pull it this way slightly. Just hold my middle mouse button just to rotate around. Okay, and we're going to hit P to bring up our separation menu. We're going to choose a selection just like before. Now we're going to go to object mode, and here's our shoulder armor. So we'll click here, double click, name it shoulder armor. Okay, now with the shoulder armor selected, we'll click here to go into edit mode. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go to edge select. We're going to hold Alt, select right here. We're going to press V, very similar to before. Left click to lock in. We're going to hold Alt and select this edge. You can't see it, but it's on there. Just pull it like that. We'll hit S to scale to make it like that. Then we'll do the same thing here. We're going to press Alt, select V to rip, left click to lock in. We're going to press Alt again, hold Alt I should say, with edge select on, click right here, pull this up, pull it that way, hit S to scale. I'm going to hold Alt and hit S to scale to give this a little bit more space here. I'm going to hold Alt here, drag that down very slightly. I'm going to hit S to make this flare out some. S to scale to make that flare out some. Then we're going to hit press Alt, select here. We're going to do something a little bit different here. What we're going to do is hit E to extrude, left click to lock in. We're just going to pull up and out here. We're going to hit S to scale like that. So what we did here, so you're not confused, is we grabbed the loop cut just like we normally would, but this time, this is the first time we've extruded during this tutorial. So we extruded up and out some. So that's what you see there. And see how this is kind of like, this has this gray color, doesn't look quite right. What we're going to do to fix that is we're going to go to face select, we're going to hold Alt, select this whole loop here, and then we're going to press Control N. And what that does is that recalculate your normals. What normals are is they are the direction that polygons face. So like this here is kind of like facing like up this direction. So sometimes the normals, when you're making new geometry, they get out of alignment, but usually Control N will fix your normals. Like if you're doing armor and you're doing a different variation than this, and Control N doesn't fix your normal, sometimes you'll have to press W to bring up your specials menu and then go here to flip normals. But normally Control N will deal with the issue. Okay, now we're going to go to object mode, and with this armor still selected, we're going to click this. Let me move this out of the way. We're going to click this to wire. We're going to click back on the regular mesh, the body mesh. We're going to click here to go into edit mode. And we're going to do very similar to what we did before with the leg armor. With our face select on, we're going to press here, Alt. I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to hold Alt, press S so I can do a Alt scale. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, hit Shift D to duplicate the faces. Hold Alt, press S to duplicate like that. And then I'm going to hold Shift, select here, press Control L, hit P to bring up my separate selection, choose by selection, and then here it is now. And we're not going to name this because we're going to join it to there. So we're going to click here to go into object mode. click our eye just so we know that that for sure is it, and yes it is. We're going to click here to go into edit mode. Okay, and here in edit mode, what we're going to do is I'm going to press Control R. You can see there's a preview right there. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel once. There's 2. And you know what? I think I do want just 2 for this. I'm going to left click to lock in. Oops. Let me right click. When you left click to lock in one time, you still have the ability to move your loop cuts. So I'm going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to select right here. I'm going to press X to bring up my delete menu, choose delete faces. I'm now going to hit Control R. There's my loop cut preview. Roll the mouse wheel one time. Left click to lock in. Left click again to lock all the way in. Go to face select, hold Alt, select here. Press X to bring up the delete menu, choose faces. So now we have, just very similar to before, So it looks like that these are basically supposed to make it look like the armor has something to secure it to the arm. So what we're going to do now is grab this face. I'm going to press Control L, move this slightly this way. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to click back into object mode. We're going to select this armor here, go to our object data menu, click here. This out of the way. Change this back to textured. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just so I can turn and see what's going on. I'm going to select here, which is the loops we just made. I'm going to hold shift, select here, and then I'm going to press Control J. And now this object is joined in this object, which is what we want. So now when I click here to go into edit mode, you can see all of the objects are in. Okay, so now we're going to click here to go back to object mode. We're going to select on our main body. We're going to click here to go into the edit mode of the main body. Okay, I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button just to pan over a little bit. I'm going to press, I have face select on, so I'm going to press C. I'm going to select all right here. Just held the middle mouse button just to rotate the camera view. Just painting to select all this. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the back. Press C. Paint select. Nope, missed a couple spots in there. Look at this, I grabbed some stuff here. So I'm holding the middle mouse button with paint select on. By holding the middle mouse button with paint select on, it lets you deselect things. It's great that that's in Blender. It's just very cool and easy. Having the ability to use that middle mouse button while being in paint select with C does definitely makes using the paint select very easy to use. However, in saying that, to make sure that we have all the faces here, we're actually going to hit A and deselect what we just did. We're going to press Z, then we're going to go to wireframe. We're going to press B for box select. We're going to left click and hold and draw a box all the way up to this loop cut here. Now we know for sure that we absolutely have every face there, which sometimes paint select can miss. At least in the way that I model things, there's other ways to get to the other side. I prefer to control what I can grab by making things solid and wireframe to grab the entire thing. But without getting on to that, we're going to press Z, go to solid, back to solid. Now we're going to hit Shift D to duplicate, left click to lock in. I'm holding the middle mouse button just to turn slightly. You're going to press Alt S, then you're going to hold Shift. When you hold Shift, it allows you to make smaller increments when you make pulls in Blender. Sometimes you'll pull something and things you'll be like, whoa, it went very big. You hold Shift and it lets you pull without that going. Alt S, hold Shift. Okay, there we go. I left click. So I'm just pulling just slightly because you don't want these fingers intersecting, right? All right, so now what we're going to do actually here is we're going to go to Edge Select, hit A. So we duplicated this. We have our duplicated hand right there, right? Now we're going to hold Alt, select here, and press S to scale. Oh, and I grabbed the wrong edge loop. So if you grab the wrong edge loop like me, see I'm grabbing the wrong one, you can actually push in just slightly, and now you'll be able to more easily grab the right one. So hold Alt, now S to scale. What the heck? There we go. S to scale. There we go. There's the right one. And I'm going to hold Alt, hit S to scale right here. I'm going to put a Control R, put a loop cut right here. Hit S to scale there. Okay, now we're going to do is hit A to deselect. I'm going to press Alt, and I'm going to select right here, just like we did before. I'm going to hit E to extrude, left click to lock in, then I'm going to hit S to scale. Just a little, then I'm going to push this back, like that. I'm going to press Control. Before I do that, I'm going to go to Face Select, hold Alt, select right here. I'm going to press Control N to fix those normals. Now I'm going to go to Control R. This is what I was planning to do before. So let's fix the normals first. Now left click to lock in here. Left click again so it's totally locked in. I'm going to hit S to scale. Okay, now we're gonna, with this edge still selected here, we're gonna press Control L to grab this entire piece of armor here. We're gonna hit P to bring up our select menu. We're gonna choose selection, just like before. Here's our arm glove right here. So we're gonna click here. We're gonna name this Gauntlet. Underscore armor. Okay, now with that done, if you look right here, I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button just to pan down. You see how sharp this is? It's like paper thin. So what we're going to do is we're going to deal with this right now, and you can see the same thing right here. The way we're going to deal with this is we're going to click on our modifier menu button. Then we're going to click here and we're going to add a solidify modifier. Okay, and what you can see there is now that sharp edge is no longer there. And then with still in our modifier menu, we can scroll down here, and here's the actual solidify modifier controls. One of the things we want to do is select only rim, and then we can actually right here, this is thickness. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button so you can see. So I'm going to take this, and what I did was I just increased the thickness here, which is what we want. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to go and apply this solidify modifier to our different pieces of armor. So now with this shoulder piece selected, just click here, add solidify, scroll down so we can see our solidify modifier options, select only rim. We can still see, even with the solidify, it's still kind of thin, so we'll just take this up some like this. And now we've got a nice, bit of thickness right there and right here. Okay, so we'll just keep moving along. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button. I'm going to select right here because you can still see even here that thinness there. So I'm going to scroll up here, click here, solidify. You can see when we put the solidify on here how there's problems caused there. We'll scroll down. We'll go to only rim, and now it took away that issue right there, and we'll increase the thickness here some. Generally around 900 is a decent amount for it. So now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. We'll scroll up. We'll go here. We're on this midsection piece of armor. We'll click here, go to solidify, scroll down so we can see our solidify options here. We'll select only rim, and we're going to take our thickness up to about 900. or around 900. Doesn't have to be exact. You can see right here, we can see this is really, you know, like extremely thin. So the same thing here with the leg armor. We'll scroll up, select here, go to solidify, scroll down so we can deal with our solidify options. Select only rim, take our thickness up to about 900, and now we have that, you know, thickness there. Okay, now we're going to start adding a little bit of extra detail to our pieces. So I'm going to click on this midsection, go into edit mode. What I'm going to do here is I am going to couple of things. One, I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, and I press Shift D, left click to lock in. Then I'm going to hit S to scale to blow this up, and you can see when I made that new, because I have that solidify modifier in there, you can see we still have this you know, solidify is being applied to this new piece as well, which is, you know, which is cool. Okay, we're going to go to object mode. We're going to select right here. So we're on the chest piece of armor. We're going to click here, go into edit mode. What I'm going to do is hit Control R to put a loop cut in. I'm going to put a loop cut right here. I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to select right here to grab this whole edge loop right there. I'm going to hit E to extrude, left click to lock in. I'm going to hit Alt S. While holding Shift, I'm going to pull to extrude this out some. I'm going to hit Tab, go into object mode. Yeah, I like how that is coming out there like that now. At this next part, I'll be a little bit careful here. Make sure you save. I very rarely do I have problems with Blender crashing on me. However, I did have some issues where Blender, you know, had an issue with this. So see this armor here, we have the solidify modifier on it, and how it's soft right here. We don't want that soft look. We want this to have a hard edge to it, and a fairly easy way to do that is with our modifier panel selected. We'll just go up, click here, and we'll add an edge split modifier. Now watch what happens as soon as I click this. See that right there? Went from that you know, very soft look to this nice hard edge look, which, you know, looks right for armor. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to select here, click here, select edge split, and the same thing here. We can see we have this nice hard edge right there. Okay, and as far as the legs, I see it looks like we didn't apply a subdivision. I mean, not subdivision, sorry, a solidify modifier. So we'll click here, add a solidify modifier on it, and then we'll just click here and go right to edge split. And we need to, on that solidify modifier, choose only rim. And let's take this thickness up to 900, or right, yeah, looks good here. This is about almost 1200. Take it to 1200. Okay, I'm holding the middle mouse button to turn. I'm holding Shift and the middle mouse button to pan down. I'm just going to click the glove here. Same thing, scroll up and apply an edge split. You can see now the edge has a nice hard line to it as well. Okay, I'm not going to apply an edge split to the shoulders because for whatever reason Blender is having a hard time when I do that and crashing on me. It might be that I'm supposed to apply the subdivision or apply the solidify modifier first. So just be aware, at least as far as what I've done here. Blender was giving me a hard time when I was trying to put an edge split on these shoulders for whatever reason. Okay, so moving along, what you're going to do now is select on the main body, you're going to press Shift S, which brings up your snap menu. The more I model in Blender, the more useful I realize the snap menu is. You're going to choose cursor to selected. It's going to put the cursor right there. You're now going to press Shift A to bring up a cube. You could also, make a cube from here. Blender has multiple ways of getting around now that we're in 2.72b. Okay, with this cube selected here, what we're going to do is, let's use this right here. We're going to go to click this tab where it says Navi. This is our navigation tab. We're going to click here. This is going to take us into local mode. Okay, so now that we're in local mode is a mode just where you can see just what you're working on and everything else is temporarily hidden. If you get lost or if you saved while you're in local mode, you can always look right here and not be alarmed when you don't see anything else. You can see it's telling you right there you're in local mode. So we're going to click here, go into edit mode. You're then going to hit you're actually going to select right here. I was going to say 1 on the number keypad, but I really like how the tab system has this right here. I mean, I debate whether it's easier to click here or to hit the number keys on the keyboard, but this is pretty nice for getting around. Anyway, we're going to press W, then we're going to choose W brings up our specials menu. We're going to choose subdivision smooth. Click that one time. You're going to look over to your left to where it says subdivide number of cuts. You're going to take this up to 3. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel back. I'm going to go to vertice select. I'm going to select this vertice right here. I'm then going to click right here to go to front view. I'm going to press the O key to turn on orthographic. This blue thing right here lets us know that my, not orthographic, I said pressing O to turn on proportional edit tool. And this blue tool here lets us know that it's on. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel back. Because we have this proportional edit tool on, now when I hit G, there'll be a circle that appears. Now when I roll my mouse wheel, you'll see that circle get bigger. That circle shows your area of influence of your proportional edit tool. So normally without the proportional edit tool, I would move one vertex like this because I have the area of influence down. But when I roll my mouse wheel, see how as it gets bigger, the other vertices come to match that vertex that's coming out. And the proportional edit tool allows you to manipulate many vertices at one time, so it's very useful. And basically, you just want to create this shape like this. This is kind of like just pulling down a chin shape. Let me hit G, pull down, hit Z. See that purple line is showing us that we're on the Z axis, and that's what you want. When you press G, then Z, you can only move up and down, and it keeps you from, having things get beyond what you can control. So I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to turn to the side. Actually, I'm going to press front right here. I'm then going to hit Z. Whoops. I'm going to hit Z. I'm going to go into wireframe mode. I'm going to hit A to deselect that vertex there. I'm going to hit O to turn off this proportional edit tool. You want to press O while your cursor is over your 3D viewport here. Now I'm going to hit B for box select. Whoops. I'm going to select box select first. So here's face select. And I'm going to hit B. I'm going to grab this whole half of what's going to be this helmet that we're making. I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu. I'm going to choose faces to delete this half. Because we have the pivot point right here in the center, we can put a mirror modifier on it, and it'll take this geometry here and perfectly mirror it onto the other side. So we're going to click here, go to mirror, and then you can see there it is right there. When I click this triangular looking shape thing here, it just makes it look like these mirror modifiers actually applied. Then I'm going to check this clipping so that this side doesn't pull apart from that side. Okay, now we're going to press Z to go into solid mode. I'm going to edge select. I'm going to hold Alt, select this edge right here, pull this edge right down here. If you did my full 3D female mesh tutorial, you'll recognize the steps that I'm taking here. I'm going to press R to rotate on the X-axis, just to rotate this up just slightly. Now I'm going to press Control R to put another loop cut right here. I'm going to left click one time. Because I left clicked it one time, I can still move this edge loop. It's going to move it up just slightly. I'm going to left click to lock in. Now I'm going to go to face select here. I'm going to select here. I'm going to hold shift and select here. Because the mirror modifier is on, we select here when we select here, because this side is the mirror, which mirrors everything on this side. Now we're going to hit E to extrude, left click to lock in. We did that just to create new geometry. I could have did it with the inset tool. I just choose to do it with the extrude tool because I'm so used to doing it. We're going to hit S to scale in. Left click to lock in. We're going to take the manipulator and push this in like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is with face select still on, we're going to select here, hold shift, select here, here. We're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, hit S to scale in, just a little like that. And roll with the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to go to vertice, select this vertice, push this down, select this vertice and push this up, select this vertice, push this down, this vertice and push this up. So grab this one, push this up as well. I'm now going to go back to face select, reselect these faces here while holding shift. I'm going to press E to extrude on the Y axis, taking in a little bit. Hit X to bring up my delete menu, then choose faces to delete. I'm now going to press Control R to put a loop cut right here. Left click to lock in. Okay, I'm actually going to zoom in and hit A to deselect there. I'm going to hold Alt and select this edge right here and hit S to scale. Just wanted more thickness right there. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to select right here. I'm going to press O. You can see my proportional edit tool turned on there. I'm going to click here to go to right view. Right view. I'm going to press G, so you can see the area of influence. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel in. Then I'm going to hit Y, so I can only go forward like that. And I'm going to grab here, hit G, then Y slightly. Grab here, hit G so I can see my area of influence. Y, slightly push out here. I'm going to hold my middle mouse button, look at this whole bottom part right here. I'm going to face select. I'm going to hit O to turn off this proportional edit so it doesn't surprise me. I'm going to hit C for paint select, and I'm on face select. So I'm going to paint all these faces here. I'm going to right click to get out. I'm going to hit X to bring up the delete menu. Choose faces to delete the faces there. Okay, with face select on, I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here, 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 and here. And I'm going to press Shift D to create new geometry, but I'm not going to pull it out. I just want it separated. I'm going to press E to extrude on the Y axis. Pull this out like this. I'm going to press Control B to bevel. Like this. And now what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button, turn to the side. Go to edge select here. We're going to hold Alt. Select right here. And now we're going to press S to scale on the Z axis 0. Pull this straight down. Like this. Now I'm going to go here, select here, hold shift here, and here. I'm going to press X, and then to bring up a delete menu, then choose faces to delete. Go to edge select here. Push this forward some. Back to the side some. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to press Control R. We're going to put a loop cut right here. Left click to lock in. Grab right here with edge select on right there. We're going to hold shift, select here, pull out to the side a little, grab here, hold shift to grab two edges, pull it to the side here a little. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to press view global local. We're still in local mode to go back into global mode. See how our helmet looks. So we're going to press A to select our entire helmet. Lift it up some. Push it back some. I'm trying to decide if I want to try to make this work with the hair or take the hair away. Hit S to scale. I think I'm going to leave the hair there. The main thing I want is I want to be able to see her eyes through the helmet. See how when I pull here, the helmet is doing that. It's because of the mirror modifier. This clipping keeps it together, so it's useful for when you're trying to manipulate. You can just pull and it'll always stay right there when the mirror is on. Okay. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to apply a subdivision surface right here. Just click there from the modifier menu. Then with all of this geometry selected, we're going to press Z, go to shade smooth, and then we're going to click here, go right to a solidify modifier. We're going to click down so you can go to our solidify options, choose only rim. See these little things right there? Click only rim, they disappear. We're going to increase our thickness. I'm going to just click here, and for this time I'm just going to put 0.2. And then we can see our thickness right there. It might be a little bit too much. Okay, and what we're going to do here is click this view for the subdivision up to 2. And okay, we have our thickness on 1590. We're going to click. We have this, kind of soft edge there. We're going to click up. And we're going to add a edge split right to it. So now we have sharp edges there. I'm just going to click here so we can see what it looks like. This button right here just makes it look like your modifier is applied. And I like how it looks so far. Hopefully you guys like it, but so far I like how it's coming along. Whoops. On here, solid. Tab, that's what I want. So I'm hitting tab to go into object mode just to see how it's going with the other armor. And I think it's looking pretty good so far. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to apply our mirror modifiers. We're going to click here, apply. We're going to click here, click apply, the chest armor, click apply, the gauntlet armor, click apply, the leg armor, click apply. Okay, I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to mouse button to pan up, click the boot armor, and click apply there as well. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold the mouse button and turn to the side. We're then going to press shift A, bring up our add to menu. We're going to select the plane. The plane just popped up right there. The plane objects, when you add objects into Blender, they tend to come up normally where your 3D cursor is at. So what we're going to do now is hit tab. We're going to go to edit mode. We're then going to hit S to scale. Left click to lock in. I'm going to zoom back a little bit. I'm going to hit S to scale. Left click to lock in. S to scale again. And pull this back some like this. Maybe S to scale on the Y axis a little bit more. I don't want it hitting the ground. I'm going to hit S to scale to shrink it a little. Pull this in. And I'm going to go to vertice, select. I'm going to select this vertice and this vertice. I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis like this. And now I'm going to hit A to select the entire plane, which is going to be our cape. We're then going to hit W to bring up our specials menu, choose subdivide. We're going to take this all the way up to 10. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press W to subdivide one more time. We're then going to, with vertice select on, we're going to hit press A to deselect. We're going to hold Alt and the vertice select to select all these vertices right here. Then we're going to hit S to scale on the x-axis to bring these vertices like this. And we're just going to use our manipulator to push these vertices down to where we want this cape to basically hang from. So we're going to put it right above right below the hairline. Okay, so with those vertices selected there, that line of vertices, we're going to click right here. We're going to go down to where you see this setting. This is or just selection, whatever. What do you call these areas here? You're going to go to this section where you can select vertex groups. You're going to push this plus here, and this is letting Blender know that these vertices right here are most likely you're about to set them into a vertex group. So we're going to left click right here twice. I'm going to name this cape hold. Now Blender doesn't know yet that these vertices are this vertex group. As soon as you click assign, okay, now Blender understands this is this vertex group, and this is important for what we're about to do with this cape. Okay, so we stretch those vertices down. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. So what I'm going to do is press Control R to put some loop cuts in. I'm just rolling my mouse wheel to put about 4 loop cuts in. I'm going to left click to lock in, left clicking on to totally lock in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold here, pull to the side, so I can get to the physics tab. I'm going to click here to go into object mode. I still have the cape selected. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select cloth. I'm going to go right down to, and when we selected cloth with this physics, what we did was we put cloth physics to this plane right here. So what we're doing now is we're just going to go right to pinning. We're going to put a check mark here. We're going to click here, which just is asking for a vertex group to pin. We're going to click here, select cape hole, which we just made. And now with all of that done, Blender knows that we want this plane to act like a cape. However, we need this cape to basically interact with these armor pieces here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select this chest piece of armor. With the physics tab still selected, we're just going to select collision. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to just pan it over. We're going to select right here, select collision, select the legs, select collision, select the boots, and select collision. So now with that, what we can do is click here just to make sure we're at the beginning of the timeline. Now when we push play, Blender will activate the physics simulation. So let's do that now. So let me turn it to the front. So we'll hit play now. And there you can see the physics, for the cloth simulation. Very cool. Okay. And we can even turn our view as it's working. And we can see it's working like it's supposed to. It's not going through here. Blender is realizing that there's a collision here. So what we're going to do now is pause this. We're going to go back by pushing here. We're going to click the cape. And what we're going to do is we're going to press a shortcut for a subdivision surface, Control 2. And what that did was that automatically applied a subdivision surface. So just so you don't get confused, I could have just went here, and clicked subdivision surface, but I could have went here, but you can also hit Control 2, and what Control 2 does, it's just a shortcut. It puts the subdivision surface on with a view of 2. Okay, so now with that, now what we want to do is hit Z to put on a shade smooth. Okay, so now with all of that, now what we're going to do is hit play again. And we're just waiting for this to settle just a little. So I'm going to pause right here. Okay, now as far as the cloth simulations go, there's some very cool things you can do. If you rig this character, you can have the cloth work where have the cloth simulation work in tandem with the character's rig as it walks. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we just put the cloth sim on to get some fairly decent wrinkles in, and you know, pretty simple and quick way. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to just zoom in here. I'm going to right click right here, and it's because where the cursor is at in Blender is where the new objects tend to come in, and I'm holding the middle mouse button, just rotating the view just to get this 3D cursor where I want in 3D space. Okay, so with it there, what we're going to do is we're going to press Shift A. We're going to go to, this brings up our Add To menu. We're going to go and add another plane in. I'm going to click here, go into Edit Mode. Then I'm going to hit S to scale. I'll click the lock in. Push this back a little bit. I'm going to hit S to scale. I'm going to hit S to scale on the Y axis. S to scale a little bit more. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Vertices, select and hold Shift, select here, press S to scale on the X axis like this. I guess I'll hit Control L. I'm going to hit S to scale on the Y axis just to shrink this a little teeny bit. And now what I'm going to do is hit W to bring up the specials menu. I'm going to choose subdivision. I'm going to click this up to 10. This subdivide, you know, extra options all the way over here to the left. We'll just take that up to 10. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to hit A to deselect. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to select right here. By holding Alt and being on an edge select, I can select this whole, you know, row of vertices right there. And I'm just going to, I want to put them like right underneath that belt piece pretty much. So I'm going to hit S to scale on the X axis. Right there. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to press Control R. Roll the mouse wheel one time. Left click to lock in. Left click to totally lock in. And one thing I forgot to make a vertex group. So let me hit A to deselect there. I'm still on vertices select. I'm going to hold Alt. Good. We grab that whole line of I can just push out again. I mean, we have this whole line right here. So we're just going to put it right here. And then we're going to go to what looks almost like a triangle here. Active Data button. We're going to click here to make a new vertex group. I'm not even sure what you call this, so we'll put this, I don't know, we'll name it Armor Cape 2. And then with that name, we'll just click Assign. So now that Blender knows, you know, that's the vertex group we want to use for when we apply cloth physics. So what we're going to do is go into object mode. Okay, and very similar to like what we did before, we're going to click the physics button here. We're going to choose cloth. We're then going to choose pinning. Click here. Choose the pinning group is Armor Cape 2. Okay, now with that done, we're going to click back. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back some. We're going to select play. And we can see the cloth looks like it's working like it's supposed to. And because we previously selected collision for the leg armor, it's colliding like it should. So I'm going to select pause here. Okay, we need to apply a subdivision surface to get rid of all this these squares look that you see here. So we're going to click the modifier. Last time we pressed Control 2 to do a shortcut to put the subdivision on. This time we'll click here and just select subdivision surface from here, click the view up to 2, instead of the shortcut that we did for the cape, which was just pressing Control 2. And then now also we'll press Z and then go to Shade Smooth. Okay, and like I said before, for the purpose of this tutorial, we're not going for setting this up, at least right now, for what we're doing right here for animation. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply this cloth simulation as a shape key. And the way we do that is we have the cloth selected. You want to make sure that your cloth sim is the highest modifier in your modifier stack, and then I'm just going to click apply as shape key, and you'll see that makes the cloth stick out straight right here. And what you have to do is go right here, look for your shape keys, because now it's applied as a shape key. Look where it says cloth here, and then we're just going to take this value and take the value all the way up, and now there's our shape key and our cloth. We don't have to worry about Blender trying to simulate it, or if we move the timeline, us losing the look of this hanging cloth. So what we're going to do is the same thing here. We're just going to select this cape. We're going to go back to our modifier stack. We see that our cloth modifier is on top. If your cloth modifier is below here, you're going to have issues. At least you did before in the previous versions of Blender. So as long as your cloth modifier is on top, you should be good. I'm going to select apply as shape key. It goes straight back just like the other one, and we'll go to our active data menu. We'll go to shape keys, we look for cloth, and we take this value up, and there we can see we have our hanging cloth just like in the front. Okay, what we're going to do now is we pretty much have our armor and our cape and everything done, and what we're going to do now is go into cycles and apply some materials very quickly to this character into the armor pieces. Okay, so right here you can see we're in Blender, the Blender renderer. We're going to click here. We're going to go to cycles renderer. I'm going to make some basic quick changes here, hopefully quick. If you're interested in the settings that you see me doing here, send me a message. Or there's actually some tutorials I have that, for the most part, cover the different settings I use for cycles. Or you could just pause the video. There's actually a cool feature in Blender where you can There's actually a cool feature in YouTube where you have you can click the settings and you can actually slow the speed down to like 1.5 not 1.5 to 0.25 and have speed and watch, and it'll play the sound. So it's actually pretty darn useful for tutorials. It's actually kind of hilarious actually listening to people talk as it plays the video slowed down, but it's actually useful for studying animation and possibly even things like this. Anyway, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to split the screen. I'm going to hit T to take that away. Okay. Hit T to take this away. Okay, when you're in cycles, the basic reason that I split the screen like this is in cycles, I can change this view to a rendered view, and then I can have this view be kind of a work view, and it just makes things easier. So what we need for cycles is this light won't be much help for us. I'm going to hit X, bring up my delete menu. I'm going to choose to delete that light. I'm going to roll my mouse wheel back, hold the middle mouse button to turn. I'm going to right click right here. I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to bring in a plane. I'm going to hit S to scale. I'm just scaling, then clicking. Scale, pull, click, scale, pull, click. The reason why I did that is because this is going to be our lighting. So what we're going to do is click here. This is our materials button for cycles. We're going to click new. This diffuse, you want to change this to my brain emission. So now this is basically shooting light down. Now what you want to do is hit Shift A, bring in a totally new plane. It's just easier than duplicating, because the duplicate of this, if we just duplicate it, would have the light on it. No, I don't want this. This is just so that, wait a second, that's the scale, pull down. Yeah, we're hitting S to scale. I just hit Shift A, brought in a plane, another plane, and this plane is just to reflect light, actually, to reflect light back up. Cycles is amazingly cool in the fact that it acts like real light, so you pretty much need to have a bottom plane to, you don't need it, but it makes things look better. Alright, so now with that set up, we'll click right here. And right now, this is in solid view, so that's why everything looks gray. Now, as soon as I click rendered, now you'll see Blender actually showing you what a rendered view of this will look like. So see how the ground isn't like right beneath our feet? I'll actually take this and move this up some. It's like a little bit too much, but I just have to tell myself often I'm doing a tutorial so I don't get too caught up. And the grain that you see right here is basically Blender's sampling. If I click here and I'll take this preview up to 100. Basically what you'll see in Cycles is you'll see Cycles will take the samples, try to take the samples up to what I set right here, and the clearer the sample gets, the clearer your image will get. And we're just going to use this view to quickly set up some materials for the character and for the armor. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm just going to roll the mouse wheel, zoom the mouse wheel in. I'll take this and put this over here. We're actually going to select our main body. I'm going to press Tab to bring up edit mode. And then I'm going to, I'm going to hit T. I'm going to go to the navigation tab, and I'm going to go into local mode. And pretty much the only part of her skin that's going to be showing is going to be her face, and the other part will be her legs. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Z, go into wireframe. I'm going to hold Control and the right mouse button, which is going to let me draw this loop. I'm just going to select all of this right here. I'm going to hold my middle mouse button, and that allows me to pull this. And with this selected, I'm going to press Z, and then I'm going to go to Solid. And I am going to go to this Material tab here. I'm going to click New. I'm going to click this other plus here. Click New again. Then I'm going to click where it says Color. I'm going to go to Hex, and I have one kind of flesh color in my my buffer, my clipboard. And when I press Control V, so with that color in there, now I just click Assign, and that color's on there now. So now if I click here and then I click Render it again, you should see there's the color just popped in there. So we can see a little bit of her legs here and a little bit of her arms. So I think we're going to make her arms and legs gray. So we have her head and neck selected there. What we can actually do is press Control I, and it'll select everything other than what we were selected. That's a nice thing. Control I does that. So we had the head and the neck selected. I pressed Control I, and then it selected everything other than that. So now what we're going to do is click this plus. We're going to click New, go to where it says Color here, and pick whatever color you want. You know what? Maybe I'll give her, I think I'm going to give her bluish color. Why not? Okay, so then I'll click Assign, and then when I click here and click Render again, it kind of makes it refresh, and then you can see the color pop in. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect all of that. We're going to click here to go back into global view. We're going to hit Tab, to go into object view, and we're going to select the hair, and we'll select new, plus here, new again. We're going to go to where it says diffuse. We're going to choose a mix shader. We're going to click here, and we're going to choose glossy here. Then we're going to go to this shader here. We're going to click here. We're going to go to diffuse, and we'll pick a brownish color. Brownish reddish. And it looks orange. Okay, so what we'll do is we will click here, here, assign. That should have made it turn. I'll click here, and okay, it did, and it didn't do quite what I wanted to do. So what I should be able to do is just click this up. And this just lets me click changing this factor allows me to put more of the bottom color in for the hair. Holding shift and the mouse button just to pan down. Coming quickly, I'm going to select this eye and click edit. Hold shift and the mouse button to pan. Zoom in here. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click use nodes here with our face select on. We're going to select one face here. We're going to press Control L to grab this entire eye right here. We're going to click this diffuse. We're going to turn this to a mix shader. We're going to click this first shader, and we're going to go to glossy BSDF. We're then going to go to our second shader, click here, and just go to diffuse BSDF. You're going to click in this color and just turn this all the way up, and just make sure you click assign. You're now going to hit A to deselect. You're going to with face select still on, you're going to hold Alt. You're going to select right here. I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to select whoops, no, Control Z. Hold shift to redo that. And I'm going to zoom in closer here. I'm going to hold shift and alt and select right there for that loop. And we're going to click this plus all the way to the right here. New. Change this back to rendered view. And we'll pick diffuse shader to change it to glossy. Oh, I messed up. Glossy. We want this to be a mix shader. Sorry, people. We want to click here, take this to glossy BSD just like before. Click this shader, take this to diffuse. And then we're going to click this color and we'll change it to blue. Maybe make it a little bit brighter there. Excuse me. And take this factor up to about 900. And then we're going to click assign. We'll zoom in here. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan down. And we'll click here. Re-click rendered. And then we should see, you know, what's going on there. Okay, now we're going to hit A to deselect. Okay, and now we're going to, with face select on, we're going to press C. We're going to select all of this area right here. Just holding the middle mouse button with C select to deselect what I didn't want selected. I'm going to right click to get out of mouse select, C select I mean, and I'm just clicking manually right here. and I want this to be black, so I'm going to click plus here, new, diffuse, mix shader. And somebody saw me, excuse me, somebody saw me doing this before, and he said, I prefer to do it in the node editor. I prefer to do it in the node editor too. However, it's quicker, and sometimes I'll just do, this is necessary to show you these shaders, so I don't really want to make this already long tutorial, because somebody may say, oh, you should do it in a node editor, or somebody else, my gosh, your tutorials are so long. Like, yeah, it's true. Anyway, we're going to go up to here to glossy. We're going to go to shader, and we're going to click diffuse, and take this down to a dark gray. I'm going to roll this mouse wheel up, click assign, and then when we click this render button here, re-click render, we should see, there you go. I almost forgot about this eyelid. So I'm going to, with this one face selected here, I can press Control L. I can then hit plus here, new, and because this is just flesh, I don't have to do that mix shader, so I'm just going to click here. I should still have in my buffer the flesh color, or one kind of flesh color. V, Control V I did, and I'll just click assign, and then when I click here and then rendered, you can see it pops up right there. Okay, and I'm actually going to go to object mode very quickly, just because this is bothering me. And zoom back, pull the hair up just slightly. Let me not get caught up. You're doing a tutorial. Don't get caught up. Okay, so since we did all the materials for that eye, one thing we can do to make this a little bit simpler for this eye, I'm going to hit T to take away this menu here. I'm actually going to turn this back to solid so it's not rendering and taking a lot of power. I'm actually going to take this eye here. I'm going to press X, delete this eye. I'm going to select this eye right here. I'm going to press Shift C, and what that does is that puts my 3D cursor directly in the center, which is what I want. I'm then going to hit T. Whoops, not T. That's not what I want. That was Tab. I wanted T. I'm going to click Navigation, Front, and I'm in Front Ortho. That's exactly what I want. And now I'm going to change this pivot point to the 3D cursor. So with all of that done, I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to select this eye, just the eye. You can see right there, I've got it selected. So I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate this eye right here. So here's the other eye. Because I have this 3D cursor here directly in the center, what I can do is I have my duplicated eye here. It looks like there's just one eye, but it's a duplicated eye. I'm going to press S to scale on the X-axis, -1. Left click to lock in. Okay, now when I turn the render view back on, you can see that the materials are carried over. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to roll back just roll back with my mouse wheel, and with object mode on, let me turn this back to Blender's default pivot point is medium point. This can cause you problems if you forget that, if you follow it right along with me. I'm going to click this mask right here. I'm going to click new. I'm going to scroll this up. I'm going to select plus here. Then I'm going to select new. I'm going to select diffuse. I'm going to go to mix shader. I'm going to go to my first shader. I'm going to change this to glossy. I'm then going to click here and turn this to sharp. I'm going to go to my second shader and change this to glossy. And I'm going to pick kind of like a grayish color. Click edit mode, hit A, and then with that color all set up, I'm going to select the sign. I'll click here, select rendered, and there you can see my material put on there. Okay, now with that material on there, remember this is material number 12. Okay, so what we're going to do is click here, go back to solid mode just so that the Blender trying to render cycles isn't slowing me down. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to object mode, we're going to select here, we're going to click new, and then new, and we'll click here. Remember material 12, so here's material 12 right here. So we'll select that, we'll go to edit mode, we'll hit A to make sure that this is entirely selected. We'll click assign. We'll come back into object mode, we'll select here, we'll select here, new, pretty much the same thing. Click here, go for material 12, click edit mode, hit A to select everything, click assign. We'll go to object mode, select the midsection armor, click here, the button, the plus to the right, then here, click 12 here, or sorry, click here and go for material 12. Go to edit mode, hit A to select everything, click assign, click object mode. I'm rolling my mouse wheel to go back, I'm holding shift in the middle mouse button to pan. We'll select here, plus here, plus here. Click here, go to material 12, and go to edit mode, select A, and click assign. Okay, and with that done, we'll click into object mode, we'll select the gauntlets, we'll click here, we'll click new, we'll click here, we'll select material 12, we'll click edit mode, hit A to select them, select assign, we'll click object mode. Now we'll click here, we'll click edit mode, and with face select on, we're going to select here. You roll in with the middle mouse buttons, you can see here. Here I'm just holding shift as I'm selecting each one of these, I guess you would say tie-on belts. Now I'm going to press Control L, which will allow us to grab all of the faces because these are quote unquote separate objects. While we're inside the objects of while we're inside the object of the leg armor, these are separate objects from here. So when we hit Control L, they only select that part right there, which is very useful in this situation. So we'll click here, we'll click new, and we're going to use the just for the sake of time, we're going to select material 7, and we're going to select assign, which is the same material that the hair is using. So then what we can do is we can press Control I, which is invert selection, so it selects everything but what we just had selected. So now we'll click here, we'll click new, then we'll click here and we'll select material 12, and then we will select assign. We'll go to object mode, we'll select the cape, we'll click here, new, we'll click here, we'll select material 7 again, we'll go to edit mode, hit A, select assign, we'll go to object mode one more time, click here, 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 click here, where's good old material 7 at, select here, go to edit mode, select A to select everything, select assign. Okay, so with that done, I'm going to hold shift in the middle mouse button to pan down, zoom in on the face, Click here to go into object mode. I'm going to select the helmet. Click here to go into edit mode. I'm going to select one face of this part of the helmet, because while we're in the object of the helmet, this is a separate piece of the helmet. So I should be able to press Control L and select that whole piece there. So I'm going to hit plus, new, and I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to Mix Shader. Shader 1 is going to be glossy. I'm going to change this GGX to sharp. I'm going to change this shader to glossy. And for the color, I click here. I'm going to press Control V and FFD 700. The internet says it's the color for gold. So I'll click there. And we're going to go to object mode. We're going to select onto the main body. We're going to roll the mouse wheel and zoom in, hold shift and pan. Okay, we're going to click edit to go back into the main body's edit mode, and we're just going to add some quick color to the lips. I'm going to hit C to paint select. Really could have just held select and grab this instead of the paint select so small. So I'm going to push this up. I'm going to click here, click new. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to a mix shader. I'm going to choose glossy, regular. For the second shader, I'm going to choose diffuse. Kind of a color like that. And then I'm going to choose a sign. Do I have all of the... And no, I do not. Let me zoom in very close. Make sure I have all of the parts of the lip. The lips. I said lip, it's lips. Okay, so now I'm going to just go back to object mode, zoom back, and change this to rendered mode. Hold shift and then the mouse button to pan up. I'm actually going to join these screens. When I click this little triangular view thing here, left click and hold and drag to the side. See that arrow? Let me know the screen's going to be joined. And there we go. Okay, I'm just going to go to my render button. And let's increase the samples of this preview to 1,000. Okay guys, that's it for the tutorial. For those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very, very much. I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe and thank you for viewing.